Finding equivalent fractions when you have part of a new fraction, making models, and writing it in decimal form as well. So when I start off today, I am starting off with 7/10, and I want to multiply it to something to get me something 100th. And I have models here of 7/10. I'm going to go ahead and color in my 7/10 using my model here. This is part of my strategizing. Hopefully, I expect you to color it a little bit better because you're doing it on paper. Here's my 7/10. So I have 7 columns shaded in. Over here, I want to color the same amount because when I am finding an equivalent fraction, I am finding a fraction that is the same. The only difference is that the pieces are broken down into smaller pieces and more pieces. So, same thing. 10, except for I'm going to count by 10 because I'm counting the little squares now. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So I can see that I have 70. Now, I can do the math here too without doing the coloring, but the coloring just seems to be easy. I can ask myself, what can I multiply to 10 that will give me 100? So 10 times something equals 100 pieces. What did I do, or how many parts did I break those 10 up or decompose them up into to get 100? It also is known as dividing 100, which is the total, by 10 to give me an answer. And we all know, hopefully you know by now, you can use skip counting. So I can count by 10 until I get to 100. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And I have 10 tens here. So I know that 10 times 10 is 100. 100 divided by 10 is 10. So I can use this information to help me. If I multiply 10 times 10 down here, it does give me 100. What does that mean? That just means that I took the 10 parts that I had and I broke them up into 10 more parts, or I decomposed, and it gave me 100 parts. I have 7 parts here, 7 shaded parts that are broken up into 10 parts. Each of the 10 or the 7 that I had strips were broken up into 10, and it gave me 70 parts. Now, we know the parts are smaller, but it's the same amount if we're talking about the whole strip still. Same thing if we think about it the other way, if we talk about division. So I have 80 100ths divided by something equals something tenths. So I ask myself, what can I divide 100 by to get me 10? Well, my answer is here. I've already figured that out. I know that if I divide 100 by 10, I'm going to get 10. So I'm just going to go add that in right now before I even do any of the coloring. 100 divided by 10 is 10. So I know I want to do the same thing on the top because the shaded part is going to be broken down into tenths, or 10 equal parts. 80 divided by 10 gives me 8. So I know that 80 hundredths is equivalent to 8 tenths. I don't want to forget to do the decimal part. So I'm going to color and hurry up and go back to it. So I know that I need 8 strips colored in here. So that's 1, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. And you'll do a better job coloring in than I did. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All these 2 pictures are showing you is that the same amount is colored in on this same exact picture. Now, if I'm going to write it as a decimal, I'm going to write, this is 80 hundredths. Why? Because in the place value chart, I have my ones, my decimal column, my tenths, my hundredths, place that I am. So 80, and if I look above, it tells me hundredths. It is the same as 8 tenths. Why? Because I can add zeros without changing the value much. Same thing, I have tenths. I could add a 0 here, and that's still my hundredths place, and it's the same exact thing. So when I go back up here, I can compare 7 tenths is equivalent to 70 hundredths. Okay, and I just did all of that so that you could find equivalent fractions when you have a part of a fraction, change it to a decimal, and show the model.